Illinois faces some big challenges. Today, we're about to hear a truly honest analysis of the problems we face. Equally as important, you'll also hear an in-depth discussion of some practical solutions. This is your radio source for stories, the insight, and the answers you won't hear anywhere else. Not in the media and not coming from Springfield. You're listening to Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Policy Institute. Now, here's your host, AM 560's Dan Proft.
Thank you for joining us on another edition of Illinois Rising. Dan Proft, you can catch me Monday to Friday on AM 560, Chicago's morning answer program, 5 to 9 a.m. with my co-host Amy Jacobson. And joining me as co-host on this edition is Eric Cohen, Marketing Manager for the Illinois Policy Institute. Eric, great to have you. Kentucky passed and signed right-to-work legislation this past week, making Missouri, Illinois' only border state without right to work. And for now, that may be changing with the new Republican governor there, joined by a Republican-controlled legislature in Missouri. That is getting up there near the number of Republican-controlled Republican-controlled states in terms of governor, state legislator. You know, basically a supermajority of states were trending towards being right to work. And in the Great Lakes, Missouri, the last border state of Illinois to fall. What does that mean for those states? What hasn't meant? And what does it mean for Illinois to be the outlier? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Jim Waters. He's president of the Bluegrass Institute in Kentucky. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, great to be with you guys today. Thanks.
So Governor Bevin, Republican governor of Kentucky, taking full advantage of the Republican takeover of the legislature, it seems, and moving post-haste, toot sweet, to advance free market-oriented reforms, including right to work. What was the impetus behind making this one of the first initiatives undertaken by the Republican-controlled governor with the Republican-controlled legislature?
Well, it's great to be with you, and thanks. That's a great question. And, you know, when the new GOP majority took over for the first time in nearly a century at our state House of Representatives, they made it clear that their goal was to pass economic growth legislation. And Kentucky has seen businesses fly over, go around, not even bother to give us a call, simply because we aren't on that list of states that have law that allows individuals to decide whether to join a union and pay dues. So why not eliminate that barrier? I think that was the governor's approach, and that was the Republican not only majority but now supermajority. And, you know, a lot of these new legislators that campaigned on this issue, and the voters said it's time to give this a try. And so they fulfilled their campaign promises, and the governor certainly played a leading role in that by getting out there during the campaign and not being afraid to talk about these issues and make them the central part of the campaign. So
in addition,
you know, we are.
In addition to the right to work portion of this, there was also the repeal of the prevailing wage law. How do you see this benefiting the state of Kentucky, the people of Kentucky, and businesses in Kentucky?
Well, of course, they go hand in hand, and of course, the prevailing wage law was driving up greatly the cost of building a school or building a government building, a justice center, and no good reason for it. A lot of workers that work on the public projects also work on private projects, and there was absolutely no indication that there was any difference in quality or safety or any of the charges that some of the extreme leftists tried to bring up as the bills were being debated last week. And the prevailing wage law also had strong support from the Kentucky Association of School Superintendents, which normally would not be with us on a whole lot of these economic issues, but this directly affected their ability to build new schools and to provide the kind of environment that students could learn in, rather than students being stuck behind the school in a trailer or mobile home, which we had a lot of that going on. And we have a lot of crumbling infrastructure here in terms of our public education system. So the school superintendents actually came in and throughout the debate over the last few years on that issue have actually been helping us make the case. And there were many Democrats there were some Democrats at least who voted, who did not vote for right to work, who did come over on the prevailing wages.
What about
repeal that?
What about the response from the trade unions?
Well, the unions showed up and demonstrated in great numbers on Saturday. The cynical among us say that a lot of those people were paid, but I'm not sure that's the case. I mean, one of the things about passing this during the first week of a legislative session, it really didn't give them a lot of time to organize and sort of put it back on their heels. And that was the big complaint, was that this legislation was being passed too quickly. But these issues have been debated for years.
Well, so I assume in Kentucky, in order to take control of the legislature, you had to have Republican candidates that generated support votes from carpenters, electricians, plumbers, operating engineers, and the like. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how moving this right-to-work legislation and the prevailing wage legislation impacts that political support, which was part of the Trump victory coalition.
Well, also, we passed a paycheck protection bill on Saturday, which also means that union dues can't be used for political purposes, and that union members have to opt in to have their union dues removed from their paycheck. So yeah, it was a clear victory in terms of individual liberty for union workers. I think we hear from rank and file union members who say, I can't say this publicly, but we support this. This is about this. We should have the right and freedom to make these decisions on our own. So and yes, the Democratic registration in Kentucky still outnumbers Republican registration about 1.7 to 1.1. So in order to win some of these races, particularly in eastern Kentucky, where the coal mining industry has been greatly damaged by the Obama administration's regulatory regime, the Republicans won in eastern Kentucky, and that's almost an unheard of.
So the calculus is that the benefits from this legislation, in terms of job opportunities and the like, the economic growth, will outweigh the short-term political costs that maybe some legislators will suffer in terms of opposition from the trade unions. And maybe that opposition isn't pronounced as some people would think at the rank and file level once you kind of separate the political leadership from the rank and file.
Well, we've already had kind of a preview of that, exactly right, because Kentucky became the first state where local governments began passing their own right-to-work ordinances over the past couple of years. We've had 13 counties that have done that. And it was difficult for even the rank and file and even the union to ignore the tremendous impact that those local ordinances have had on some counties, particularly Warren County, the first county in America that passed a local right-to-work ordinance. Since they passed that in December of 2014, Warren County has had $1 billion worth of capital investment that has made a commitment to come to the county. Those aren't prospects. That's actual economic growth that has occurred there in investment in that county. So it was really difficult for legislators and union members in other parts of the state. Some of our counties really have depression-like economic conditions almost. They're looking at that kind of growth and that kind of opportunity and saying, hey, we need some of that here too. So, yes, I think that will overcome the whatever short-term political pain there might be for some of these legislators.
As Dan noted, Illinois is about to be surrounded by right-to-work states because it looks like Missouri is going to enact that in the very near future. But the political leadership in Illinois seems content to ignore that reality and any pressure that it puts on them to be competitive. Did Kentucky feel any competitive pressure from Indiana enacting these kinds of reforms?
Well, yeah, and the fact that 40% of our residents live in counties that border another state, with the largest of those borders being with right-to-work Tennessee, every day those counties along the border were seeing things that companies like Beretta gun manufacturer or Caterpillar or these manufacturers make decisions to locate on the other side of the border. So absolutely the case that did put pressure, the good kind of pressure on our lawmakers, as we were able to show the difference in economic growth on one side of the border versus the other side in the same kind of counties, the same kind of populated areas, comparing apples to apples. So we were able to do that. And, actually, there was a study done that actually compared the three counties along the Tennessee border with 3 counties along the Kentucky border on the Kentucky side in the same area, and the private growth, the private employment growth in the 3 counties on the right to work side was 16% over the past decade, and only 4% on the Kentucky side. So there's definite data there.
All right. Well, Kentucky's now in the running for all of those people fleeing Chicago and Illinois, going to all of our border states. Much more competitive opportunity for Kentucky, it sounds like. He is Jim Waters, president of the Bluegrass Institute. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck down there.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.